A single death is a tragedy. A million deaths, statistics, is one of the most famous sayings of the dictator who ruled Russia for nearly 30 years. Of all the dictators that the world endured in the 20th century, Joseph Stalin was unquestionably the mightiest. Succeeding Lenin, he took over a state that was still recovering from the ravages of World War I, 3 years of civil war, and 6 years of communist depredations. On Stalin's directions, Russian Red Army killed 3 million farmers of their own country. Between 1930 and 1933, 6 million people died of starvation due to his tyrannical agriculture policies. He killed more than 80% of the party workers and Russian army officers whose loyalty he suspected. He is said to have caused the death of more than 20 million people, directly or indirectly. He was the one who defeated Hitler and dictated Russia during World War II. He was so cold-blooded and heartless that when his son Jacob was arrested by the German army, Stalin turned down the German offer of barbering Jacob with the imprisoned German soldiers. Soviet Russia emerged as the second superpower of the world under his leadership. Cruelty, heartlessness, inhumanity, and revolt against authorities is all that he did during his rule in an important part of the history. A comprehensive description of his early life till 1920s is meant to be given here that might not have been discussed as much as his ruling tenure. Stalin's father, Vissarian, worked in a shoe factory in Tiflis. Later on shifted to Gori, a small provincial town of Georgia, and married there a girl named Katrina in 1874. Iosif Vissarionovich Stalin was his first child, born in December 1878 in Gori. But Stalin's father was not in good terms with his mother, who was a laundress. Vissarion accused his wife of adultery, infidelity, and of having secret affairs with a priest named Koba, after whom Stalin was given the nickname of Koba. Vissarion started drinking, behaving rudely with his wife and son, and used to beat Stalin, severely calling him a bastard. All that was deadly traumatic for Stalin. In 1887, his face was left pockmarked by the spread of smallpox in the region. Iosif Stalin's mother wanted to make him a priest and enrolled him in Gori's preparatory school in 1888, but his father opposed it. Rebuking his wife, Vissarion said, "You want my son to be a priest?" That was the day when Stalin threw a knife at his father, defending his mother. Vissarion made Stalin work in a factory and tortured him both physically and mentally. His arm injury turned serious, resulting in leaving his left arm shorter than the right one. Vissarion was jailed after being reported to police by his wife. Again, after getting enrolled in 1890 and then graduating from ecclesiastic school in 1894, he was admitted to Tiflis Orthodox Seminary by his mother, where he had been a good student till his 3rd year of the institution. Meanwhile, he started studying and preaching the ideas of Victor Hugo, who was considered a subversive author by the seminary. He had also joined the Young Socialist Circle for studying Marxism. Up till his career at the seminary, the germs of rebellion against authority, treachery, and plotting had nourished in his personality. He had been involved in inciting the students against the teachers and in favor of the Young Socialist Circle by smuggling illegal pamphlets and inflammatory leaflets into their dormitory. He became disrespectful to his teachers and authorities of the seminary. He got himself expelled on 29th of May 1899 from the seminary along with 45 other students. one of his classmates calls, his opinions abruptly and drastically changed. He did not tolerate criticism of his views. The search for truth did not interest him. He would defend his views, which he previously condemned. Stalin went to Tiflis, where he met Lado, his senior at seminary in Kamo, an underworld presser. They invoked protests of workers and industries against government in Tiflis and Batum, as Stalin was already the part of Social Democratic Party. He befooled the Arkan secret police as he pretended to work for it as an informer. He was ousted from the Social Democratic Party in 1901 for some ill wills on his part. In Batum, Stalin was also part of the Batum underworld band that did armed robberies and became their cashier. In 1903, Social Democratic Party split into Bolsheviks and Mensheviks. The same year, Stalin came to know about Lenin through Kamenev. Lenin headed the Bolshevik fraction. In 1904, Kamenev, a prestigious member of Bolshevik fraction, was arrested by the Batum police through the information given by Stalin. Stalin gained higher positions in the party and funded it through his armed robberies. Between 1903 and 1913, he was sent to Siberian jail 7 times in different cases, leading demonstrations, underworld activities, and conspiracies. But every time, he would run away from the jail. That was the time when he was given the name Stalin, which means man of steel. He also got married when he escaped 3rd time from the jail in 1904. After Lenin's death, Stalin and Leon Trotsky, the head of the Red Army, were to succeed him. Trotsky did not have that much popularity in the Central Committee. By plotting against him, Stalin first expelled him from the party in 1926 and then turned him out of the Soviet Union in 1929. Stalin became all in all and emerged as a nasty dictator. He announced to nationalize the agricultural lands of the Soviet Union and consolidated them to make larger agriculture farms. 90% of the productions would be kept by the government and the 10% would go to the farmers. It was a highly tyrannical decision that was even against the spirit of communism, resulting in huge riots and protests of farmers against the government. The farmers killed their cattle and concealed their yields in the graves and refused to give it to the government. Stalin had become unstoppable. He waged a war against big landowners and farmers called kulaks. On his command, the Red Army killed 3 million farmers of its own country. A large number of farmers were sent to Siberian jails and forced labor camps called gulags, where anyone would hardly survive. To conclude, unbalanced, harsh, bitter, abusive, repressive, and turbulent treatment of his father presumably had left his personality blemished and stained. The seeds of rebellion had already been sown in his mind. His traumatic childhood life had imprints on his character that could not be sworn in his mind. His traumatic childhood life had imprints on his character that could not be washed out later. He grew up as a rebellious, treacherous, and insurgent boy who had mastery in incitation and bullying even before he had joined the revolutionary communist group. He was ambitious for authority and would like to do things that suited his taste, irrespective of the fear of authorities, traditions, or other social barriers. It was unexpected that such a rebellious and intriguer would have to lead the Soviet Union. The barbarous, savage, and butchery side of Stalin's personality was yet to be unveiled fully in 1930s and onwards that caused the death of more than 20 million people, though he had managed to make Soviet Union the second superpower of the world. Even today, more than 50% of Russians perceive him as their hero.